Extra salt on that poop, sir? Why, yes. Thank you. The other day, I was sitting down on my bed watching the 2000s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show with my little brother. The obvious scene in which all of the turtles are in the living room and some pizza delivery guy knocks on the door and all the turtles have to hide happens. Of course, April is yelling about how everyone has to hide, and as she turns around, suddenly all the turtles have vanished. And just in time, too, the Pizzaman just let himself in. The turtles didn't really vanish though, they just hid really well. Someone drops a vase and it breaks, but before the Pizzaman could ask any questions, April rudely pushes him out the door after giving him a fat wad of cash for his troubles. This concept has been overplayed in several movies, so there's nothing new there. What really got me thinking was taking the perspective of the Pizzaman. Quite possibly the strangest thing he would ever see in his life was in that room, and should he have seen it, his life would likely never be the same. Nonetheless, he doesn't believe in giant Ninja Turtles in the first place, so he doesn't have the incentive to look around, let alone snoop into some random person's apartment. I soon had to ask myself, have I ever been the Pizzaman? Have I ever been oblivious to something that, just like the Pizzaman's case, could have changed my life forever? It's easy to rush to the conclusion that most scenarios where we've witnessed someone being oblivious to something significant has been when we see a character in a movie or in a show. And we all know that movies and shows are just movies and shows. But if you take the raw concept of not knowing something that is happening around you, regardless of how realistic or unrealistic a scenario may be, it's easy to see that being totally oblivious is not necessarily impossible. However, how do you prove that a turtle, which from this point on will represent something we're oblivious to, exists? You could see a turtle, but that would not make it a turtle, because you've seen it. Therefore, the only way to know if a turtle exists is to become one. Hang out with a colleague sometime, and take with you a piece of paper that says something absolutely absurd, something that makes no sense, and can only leave someone dumbfounded. The reason being so that if the person you're about to dupe sees it, he or she has to react, making it obvious that they've seen it. Perhaps the paper could say, I use a cheese grater to shave the hairs off my nipples. It doesn't matter, but if you get caught, you want to at least strike a laugh, so don't write anything creepy. When this person is looking away, take the paper and shake it around them, making sure that if they turn their heads just a bit, they'd be able to see it. Just don't get caught by them. Then, put it away, throw it in the trash, burn it even. Make sure no one ever sees it again. Bonus points if you write a dark secret that can ruin your relationship. So what did you just accomplish? Not much, but that's the point. Something just occurred in real life that had no consequence to anyone. Therefore, in the perspective of everyone except you, it never happened. Now, in this case, you're just shaking around a paper with an obscene comment on it. If you try this once, you might get caught, but I'm sure if you practice enough, you'd become pretty good at doing the paper shaking. You'd be a decent turtle, and they'd be a Pizzaman, which from this point on will be synonymous for someone who is oblivious. However, you have a life to live, and you soon get tired of shaking papers behind people's backs. So you hang the cape and move on. You were a decent turtle. However, what if there's someone who's more than just a decent turtle? What if there's a guy or a group of guys whose literal job and lifestyle revolves around making everyone the Pizzaman or men? Regardless of their ultimate objective, the thing they all have in common is that they have to do something and no one can notice. What makes things even more interesting is that since we proved that turtles could exist, there's no limit to the range of importance to their objectives. Some turtle could be tasked with getting across a block without being seen. Another could be tasked with moving a cow through a busy intersection without getting caught. And another one could be tasked with murdering someone without leaving a trace. All of these scenarios could have happened. They could be happening right now, no more than 10 feet away from you. However, since you don't see it, you can't prove that it does happen. But we have to consider something. Since I can stretch the objective of a turtle to an obscene extent, you can argue that something incredibly grand, sliding right under our noses, could never happen. I mean, it could, but come on, it just won't. Well, Nothing distinguishes the concept of a man shaking a paper behind a person's back and a man transporting a cow through a busy intersection. So to make the argument that these things don't happen is like saying that things that did physically happen on this planet that no one was a witness to didn't happen at all. But let me back up real quick. I am very self-aware of the fact that whether we are aware or unaware of something does not mean it exists or doesn't exist. However, since the world we live in is the one we're aware of and the one that we take as our standard for what qualifies as existing, you can argue that that's the only world that really matters. You can die tomorrow and the rest of the world will cease to exist because the only connection between you and the rest of the world will be destroyed. As far as you're concerned, the world only exists when you do. Now, I'll repeat myself again. Obviously, the world still continues when you die, but this revolves around how an individual human might perceive existence. Without the human, there is no existence. So perhaps when things that have no long-term effects to anyone, especially to you, happen, they don't happen at all. Of course, all of this could make no sense and I'm just full of crap. So far, nothing has proved that that is not a possibility, so please, take everything I say with a grain of salt.